Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it is Halloween, isn't it? I think it's Halloween. We got ourselves a special guest in the house. We got Aphex Twin here. Is that Aphex Twin?
Richard James.
Mr. Richard James. He says it's a mystery, folks. Who do you think it is? Which one is Danny and which one is Kooky?
It's Dead Marshmallow.
Yes, welcome one and all. Welcome to the one and only Danny Lohner. Danny, good afternoon and happy Halloween to you, sir.
Happy Halloween to you. Does this sound like shit?
What?
There's the real horror mask.
Man, I think I got to leave mine on because it took me too long to get this together.
I can help.
Today I am Yen Man. And, you know, Yen Man, it's the first appearance of Yen Man, so I have to rock it appropriately. Oh, I like that.
Fresh out of incarceration.
Was that somebody, another member of a band we know, or is that just a likeness?
That was a TV star, Marilyn Munster.
Marilyn Munsterberry.
Yeah, from the second season, not the first season.
What are you up to today on Halloween?
Sorry, I'm late. I've never been early on. I think premature ejaculation is the only thing I've actually arrived on time for. I gotta fire my writers. That didn't hit like I hoped it would. Today okay, so here's the deal. Usually I stay up at night and sleep during the day because that it's super spooky and it's intriguing and mysterious. But I knew this was happening, so I went to sleep early last night, and it doesn't really make a difference when I go to bed. It's so fucking hard for me to wake up. So I woke up, took a shower, went and got Taco Bell, and had to pick up a dog last minute whose mommy is going to see Idols in, where's Idols playing at? Poppy and Harriet's out in the desert. Have you heard of Idols, Kevin?
No, I haven't. Tell me about it.
There's no drum machines, but it's fucking amazing. Kevin Haskins from Bauhaus, name drop. I was working with him. I guess we could get into that in a little bit. Well, I don't know if that's out loud to get into, but anyway, I was working with him like a year or two ago, and he's like, I got to go to a show right now. And I was riding with him. He's giving me a ride home. He's like, you got to come see this band, Idols. I think they're English or Scottish. I'm not sure. And I was like, nah, I don't really want to, whatever. And anyway, he convinced me to go. And it's the best crowd reaction I've ever seen in Los Angeles. I'd never heard a song, anything. I was like, wow, they're great. And then their new record came out, which is produced by Nick Launay. Do you know who that is?
Yeah, Nick, of course.
A hero of mine. I mean, first Killing Joke record, if I'm not mistaken, Public Image, Flowers and Romance. Yeah. It goes on, and Starcrawler. But he's basically like, yes. I think he worked with Dave Sitek, who I think you should have on your podcast, who's a genius. Anyway, he produced their new record, and holy fuck, it's amazing. I say new, it's probably a year or two old. Amazing. I recommend it to everybody. Check it out, IDLES. But anyway, so I had to pick up a doggy dog, and then I couldn't get this shit working, and here we are now.
Does Kevin Haskins actually play in it, or he just introduced you to it?
He introduced me to it. I was working with him. I think they announced it, so I can probably say. Well, you had Lowell Tolhurst on here, right?
Yeah.
From The Cure.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, he's a hero of mine, and I had the opportunity. I don't know. Did he talk about his new band?
About his what?
Did he mention his new band on here or no?
Oh no, he didn't mention it.
Okay, well,
I
know he mentioned.
Actually, he did. We did speak about it briefly, but it's been over a year since we spoke, so I forgot.
Has it been a year?
Yeah, man, it's crazy how fast time has gone.
That's what she said. Okay, so I helped them get together some of their. Okay, so what happened? Kevin Haskins, Bauhaus Loving Rockets. He lives right up the street from me, oddly enough, and of course I grew up a fan of his, and I'm still a fan of his. And he said, "Hey, we need somebody to help get together some demo ideas for a new band we got." I was like, "Oh, cool. What's the band?" And it was 3 drummers. And I hope I'm not fucking anything up by saying this, but I'm pretty sure they announced this already. So if I'm fucking it up,
You're not.
they can blow me.
No, this is,
So
this is what a conversation is as it goes.
Yeah. So it's 3 drummers. It's Lowell Tolhurst, or at the time it was Lowell Tolhurst, Budgie from Susie and the Banshees, who I think we all know is one of the best drummers ever. All 3 of these guys, but him in particular, I'm a really big fan of. And Kevin Haskins. So Lowell from The Cure, Budgie from Susie and the Slits and other things, the Creatures, and Kevin from Lovin' Rockets and Bauhaus and Tones on Tail, and probably other stuff. So I got to work with him on that, and that's what we were working in a studio, and he was giving me rides to and from because he lived right by me. And he said, "You got to go see this band. I love this band, Idols. I have a free ticket." And so I ended up going with them, and I saw them. But
so, what is the name of the project that with the 3 drummers? Is that going to be coming out? Or?
Yeah. Well, what happened was, and I don't know all the details because obviously I'm not in the band. I just helped them in a production capacity. But the initially called, and I don't think it's called that anymore. I think it's called like the initials of like Lowell and Budgie or something like that. I honestly don't remember, but and I haven't looked into it recently, so I don't know if it came out, or I don't think it's come out. But anyway, they've gone on. Oh, so anyway, so Kevin, I'm super ADD for those out there that think I'm on drugs, because I did a live stream for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame with 9 Inch Nails, and I got depressed reading the comments because everybody's like, "Oh my God, Danny, I hope he's okay. He's on drugs and blah, blah, blah." Not on drugs, just...
You're just on Danny Lohner.
I just got my Danny Lohner on 11 most of the time.
I mean, so, to those of us that know you, man, it's like your sense of humor is unrivaled, and you know that's what
I love you.
I love being around you because it's a gas, and it's never normal. As a matter of fact, if I'm ever somewhere and you show up, I'm like, oh yes, it's going to be a good night.
Kind of small. So to finish that thing, because it's super cool, I can't wait to hear whatever they do. Kevin Haskins, Bauhaus got back together and they did some shows, and so that interfered with their studio situation. And so I think that Lowell and Budgie alone moved on. And I heard they were working with, I got to get this name. I don't want to say, I don't know. They're working with some producer that we would know, but I can't remember. Junior Vasquez or Jello, not Jello Biafra. I can't remember.
Yeah.
But and you know Hannah Vandermolen, she was singing on the demos that I did, and I wish I could play them. They're really good. I hope they come out. But anyway, we're talking about Idols, and that's he took me to see them. He's not in the band, but just a fan. And I picked up a dog because Hannah, the mom of the dog, was going to see Idols with Kevin Haskins' wife, actually, out in Pioneer Town, where IMX either lives or used to live.
Yeah, they just moved.
Okay, so they moved, yeah.
Which I was really surprised, because Chris found like what I consider to be the property of a dream property.
Yeah, I never went out there.
And he left it. He sold it.
I heard that he sold it to the guy who owns Coachella, though. So that's probably like, he probably gave him some incentive to sell.
Yeah, so I think he thought that Pioneer Town was, I think they're actually planning.
Can you hear me okay?
Town
Fuck, you're breaking up now.
Coachella type thing out there. like an extension of Coachella will extend into events happening more so in Pioneer Town. I think that's what they want to do. But now he's got an even bigger property that we can go and hang out in his hillside. I think he's got like 70 acres now out by
70?
Yeah. So he's moving up in the world.
Why do you keep breaking up? Damn
it. Are you freaking out? Danny, first of all, like, okay, well,
I can't even
congratulations on the what?
You're breaking up. Let me bring the unprofessional to.
I hope I'm not breaking up.
You keep breaking up, sorry. Well, I mean, on my end, because I'm in a basement.
Yeah. Okay, well, first of all, I wanted to say congratulations to you, if you can hear me. I think you deserve a proper congratulations for being inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Either his camera is frozen or our live stream is frozen. Look at Danny's like frozen in a look of Danny, where did you go, son? Oh, we lost him. Yeah, hopefully, by the way, folks, this is Zombie Dre here. Welcome, Zombie.
Hey, y'all. I will be at the Idol show. I will be working all 3 Idol shows at Honda. So hopefully I will see someone.
Do you know who's in Idols? Which band members are in it, Dre?
I have no idea.
Okay, I'm back.
All right, there he is.
I might have to move to another place in my house because this is not working too good.
Well, whatever you need to do, you can improvise in the manner that you have.
I keep knocking off.
Yeah, that's weird. Let's get a report from the people watching.
What's that?
Let's get a report from the people watching the live.
My house is.
Can you hear me okay? And then
my apologies to the people watching. I know you pay good money to be on Kevin Key's Patreon.
I think I'm waiting for a report here from the side from anybody.
I can hear better.
Give us a report. Oh, it's freezing up again.
And then somebody just said it's both sound good right now, but then it just froze.
Yeah. So I don't think I freeze. I think just Danny freezes the way we see it here. Danny, you're going to have to move to another location in your house for better Wi-Fi. There we go.
Hey, dude. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. There's nothing more exciting than like improvisation.
I'm moving in my house.
I can actually hear you better now than before, so this is good. So one thing to be said is that your house is quite stupendous. How did you ever find that house?
You know what? I'm going to go outside because hopefully it'll work better. Okay. I found this house. I was looking for a house, and me and my ex-wife used to drive around like on Sundays and just go to houses that we thought were cool just to see inside them. And we were in Laurel. Well, I don't want to say where we were, but we passed this house I've been seeing for years that looked like a castle, and it was like crazy looking. And I was like, oh my God, dude, we got to go see that. It was an open house. And I went inside, and it was pretty thrashed. And I managed to pull it. Basically, I was like, I can kind of swing this and get into this house if I really like stretch. So it was one of those, man, randomly past the house I've been seeing for years. That's kind of like a classic house in the neighborhood. And I actually was ready to show you around on the podcast, and hopefully my Wi-Fi will work better.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to be even. It seems to be
around, but
still freaking out a bit.
I'm right by my thing.
Check out this picture.
Oh, okay. Whoa, I'm short.
That's me and you, and we're together in your secret room. And that's the coolest thing about a house is when it's got a secret room. What do you call that? A secret room?
Dude, this podcast sucks because it's like it's kind of like, what do they call that?
Like
old day.
a speakeasy bar.
Yeah, it's like that. I'll show everybody later, hopefully, if I can. Okay, I'm outside right now. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
All right, so let me figure out how to set this down so my shaky hands don't ruin it. Let me pull a garbage can up.
So
this is my deck where my dogs take shit, and so I have a garbage can out here.
yeah, I'm just hoping to get stable here before I start trying to congratulate you again for joining the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Oh, that's Trent Reznor. Thank you very much.
I think that's awesome that he kind of like made the effort to sort of like immortalize like the lineup that everyone kind of considers Nine Inch Nails.
Trent is the coolest dude on planet cool, man. He actually wanted to get in even more people like Richard Patrick, who I know you've had on your show.
Sure.
He was the original guitar player for Nine Inch Nails. And Charlie Clouser, who once again you've had on your show, another fucking badass musician. And the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame apparently is really difficult to, I think I don't know this for a fact, but I'm assuming they wanted Trent alone to be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, which honestly probably would make the most sense. But Trent's such a cool dude. He's like, I want to have some of my people on, and he couldn't get everybody, but I made me and Chris Renna, another one of your guests. You've interviewed all the cool people. Damn.
Yeah, I think this.
Anyway, he got.
I think you're like the fourth member that has been on here now.
We got to get Trent and Atticus on and talk about how they make the big bucks on movies.
Yeah, I mean, if they would like to chat, I'd be more than happy to. But there seems to be a line drawn in the sand for people.
Yeah, I'm sure they would. I gotta.
But so you.
What's that?
I was saying. I was saying what?
I didn't even hear you, but.
Was
we gotta get John Frusciante on.
I was okay. Well, I'm steering this in a Halloween sort of improvised way today. John Frusciante, what a classic! Another guy that I heard that you have some responsibility in sort of like inspiring his electronic sort of sideways direction that he took about 8 years ago or so.
I wouldn't say I had inspiration. I would say you. Okay, so this is an interesting story about John Frusciante. We were Nine Inch Nails was in Japan, and we were getting ready to go do the Big Day Out, which is an Australian kind of Lollapalooza, I guess, or Coachella, but it moves around Australia. So every band you've ever heard of, it's an amazing festival. And so we were in Japan, and a lot of bands go to Japan first because you go all the way there. You go to Japan and do some shows first. So I was in the airport, and I walked into this like a lounge to get on the plane, and John Frusciante was in there with these giant headphones, 2 of those CD cases that hold like 200 CDs. You know what I mean? And that's all he had, no luggage. And I had a Vivisect shirt on, which I know you've seen. And it's not for sale. So don't even text me. I wanted to wear it today and I couldn't find it in my fucking hoarder house. But anyway, so I had that on and he had headphones on. He goes, "I love your shirt!" Loud, like with all these businessmen and shit. I was like, dude, John Frusciante. And so anyway, that's the first time I met him. I've been a fan, obviously, for years and intrigued by him. And then we went and did a whole tour, the Big Day Out. We were both flying from Japan to Australia, and we ended up hanging out on that tour the whole time. And I had like Reason on my laptop, and he was kind of blown away by that. He was super into electronic music at the time, very into Skinny Puppy and The Cure and Depeche Mode. And you wouldn't think that from being John Frusciante is the guitar player for the Red Hot Chili Peppers, by the way. and a fucking genius, the smartest musical dude I know, and like he knows everything about every genre of music. But anyway, so we were hanging out, and I was explaining. One day, I was explaining to him. He saw a reason. He thought that was really cool, and he had never knew that you could hook up a computer to like a keyboard and sequence on the keyboard. Like I think he had an MPC, but he would just play it live. And he had started making electronic music. He was only freshly into making music again. He had recently gotten sober, and so he tripped out about that. And so, if anything, I think that's the only thing I ever did was hip him to the fact that you can hook up a computer to a keyboard and have it play perfectly in time. That's what I heard in one of his interviews. But Charlie Clouser taught him, and at the time, I told his girlfriend asked me, "What can I get him for his birthday?" And I was like, "Get a Nord lead and one of those JV. I can't remember what they're called, but like a Roland, thing that you can get pianos, and you can also buy cars that have like electro or whatever." I was like, "That'll be a good all around whatever." He quickly grew out of that. It was he didn't like to move to presets. He liked to he wanted cables. He wanted Kevin Key style. So Charlie Clouser gave him lessons and taught him how to use a modular. And so he's a big modular guy now, which would be cool for y'all to talk about.
Yeah, yeah. And I know Aaron Funk really then opened the doors for him substantially as well. With
is that the guy from Biker Ass or Meth?
Venetian
from what?
Venetian Snares.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that I would say that's probably who really got him going, because he lives near me, and I know they were on the night schedule too, and they were making lots of music. I feel Meth, can't remember what it's called, like Meth Mom or something like that. I don't know if you recall. They had a project.
Oh yeah, Speed Dealer.
Speed Dealer
Moms. Yeah, I mean, it's a quite a progressive project too. John mastered the John mastered the Roland MC202, and that's not not the easiest of Roland products to master. It's kind of like one of these old real clunker style sequencers. But John figured out the nuances of it, and then came to me one day and was like trying to sort of speak to me in numerology. And I was like, "What are you going on about?" And he's going, "I'm going on about the times and the 202. And I said, "Man, this is great. No one's ever sent stuff that to me." So all I want to
speaking in binary.
Yeah. So whoever opened the door, I just want to say thank you, because like we've gotten to experience some pretty amazing stuff with John by way of that, and it's so great to see. So you're originally a Texas boy.
I grew up in Corpus Christi, Texas, and then was that Corpus
Christi, Texas?
I'm sure Skinny Puppy's never been there or downloaded.
No, we never did. Who's like the most famous person to come from Corpus Christi?
Farrah Fawcett.
Farrah Fawcett, holy shit!
Who I had the opportunity to hang out with a couple of times, and super cool, man. You wouldn't believe it, like a young kid, basically, really cool. But Freddie Fender, I don't know if you know who that is. He's from there, and Lou Diamond Phillips.
Oh, of course.
I mean, Dabney Coleman.
The stories that you've told me of the people that you've shared time with are always endless, and it's somehow like you just landed right in the middle of all the mayhem, and
I never leave my house. I don't know how but yeah, some weird.
Your life, man. Your life. I mean, okay. I want to connect the dots here for everybody. Okay, so you got
to keep this straight, man.
You were in Angkor Wat, which is like, what is that first band you were in?
Yeah, that was like my high school metal band on Metal Blade Records.
Did well, was on Metal Blade and did all that shit. And then what did you meet?
With Suicidal Tendencies, GBH, DRI, a bunch of corrosion. We toured Corrosion Conformity later, but a bunch of that era of bands, which I don't know if you're your fans will know.
And then Screw came out of that.
Oh, look at that hair.
Look at that hair. That's a handsome dude.
That's a buzzkill.
Yeah, and so Screw came out of that. Is this still Screw or is that Angkor Wat?
You got pictures going. This is hilarious.
Look at that new model shirt.
One of my favorite bands of all time. Trent always makes fun of me for wearing that shirt, but I still have it from their first American tour. That is me in high school on the far right. The picture before was the Vidal Sassoon hair. That one, that's Screw, which was more of a industrial metal kind of a thing. In fact, we did our record at Chicago Tracks at night while Ministry was doing Psalm 69 in the daytime hours. So we got to use their equipment, which is really cool of them.
And is that Burning in Water, Drowning in Flames?
Yes, which is a Charles Bukowski poem or book.
Right. And Al Jorgensen, you worked with him on that album, is that correct?
Yeah, he Phil, you know Phil from Phildo from Revolting Cocks and Skating Eggs?
Sure.
He's so I was from Austin and he was a friend of mine and he's the one who connected me. He produced the record and had us up to Chicago and got us the opportunity because he was friends with Al to get a good deal using it their studio at night and using some of their equipment while they were doing Psalm 69. And Mike Stasher, the guitar player who's since passed,
right.
I grew up with him too. He was in a band when the Angkor Wat stuff, that Metal Blade stuff. He was in a band called Rigor Mortis, which was another Texas.
Of course.
And they were from the era of they grew up with Pantera, that Texas metal scene, which I'm still friends with the remaining members of Pantera, one of my favorite bands. But yeah, so Al played a little bit and gave us. Paul Barker helped us with get the drum sounds, and they basically just helped us. We were figuring it out. I had an old shitty PC and barely knew what I was doing.
Is that how you made the connection with Nine Inch Nails and Trent?
Well, I had met Trent before. No, I met Trent after that. But ultimately, a couple of things. But a friend of the manager of Nine Inch Nails was dating the guitar player for the Skate Nigs, Phil's band, the guy I was talking about, friends with Al. And I asked her, I was like, I was in college at the time in Austin. I was like, man, can you hook me up with the guys in Nine Inch Nails? Maybe they're hiring like guitar techs or I was like, I'll do anything. You know what I mean? I just loved Nine Inch Nails. It was they had Pretty Hate Machine out and had just come out with Broken. And she's like, yeah, I'm friends with the manager. Here's his number. And I hit him up. And I only had a pager at the time. I was like living out of my car, not usually sleeping in friends' houses. I wasn't like homeless necessarily, but I didn't have a phone number. And that was on the weekend I called, and the manager, John Malm, called me back, and he was like, paged me back, and I called him, and he's like, he was real suspicious of my call. I was like, I'm just interested in working for Nine Inch Nails. And that was the very, few days that Richard Patrick left Nine Inch Nails to start Filter. And so oddly enough, I called like at this weird time where they thought maybe I'm assuming they thought maybe I was part of that and inquiring or who knows, but I literally just randomly called at the right time. But when I was in Chicago, De Warsaw, I don't know if you recall De Warsaw.
Sure.
Another great old Chicago band. They were doing some recording at Tracks, and they had Chris Vrenna on drums at the time.
Oh, right.
The original drummer for Nine Inch Nails and Trent's longtime friend. And so I met him because he was playing for De Warsaw, and he had been playing for KMFDM as well. And we exchanged numbers. So after I had put that call into the manager for Nine Inch Nails, this is like the most long-winded answer. You're gonna have to cut me off at some times, but I hit him up, and he had gone back to Nine Inch Nails and was living at the Tate house, where the famous Cielo Drive Sharon Tate, Charles Manson murders. And so I was calling him and putting my name in a hat, and then so I was coming from all angles. And then also Patty Jorgensen, which was Al's wife at the time and his manager, she even helped me write a letter because she's a manager, right? And I'm like a dumbass, and I'm like, can you help me write? And so she helped me. They basically helped me write a letter to Trent saying, basically I wanted it so bad, you know what I mean? That my favorite band in the world at the time, and still one of my favorite bands. So I did a bunch of shit to get in the band, and I got real lucky just by having addresses and phone numbers.
And so they invited you up to the Sharon Tate house? So
Trent, that same pager, I eventually get a call from 310, which I knew was like, you know, LA, the nice part of LA. And it ended up being Trent, and he's like, we'd like to fly you out and just meet you and say hi and whatever. And so I came out, and he flew me out and to the house, and just to see if I could play guitar or not, just, you know, get that over with. And he actually let me play it. The first song he played me off the Downward Spiral was The Becoming, loud as fuck in the Tate house. And I was like, oh my God, it's so, I still love that song. And he let me play some stuff, acoustic guitar shit. I don't know if any of it made it on there, but that was that. I went home, and he's like, we'll get back to you. And I'm assuming, once again, I'm just kind of in my own head what I think went on. I'm assuming he's like, well, that was too easy. We got, you know, the first day we were looking for somebody, we had somebody like come, you know, give us a rim job for the job, you know, looking for the gig. So he started looking at other people as well in between, and he found Robin Fink ultimately, who's been with the band on and off pretty much the whole time, except for a short sabbatical into, that's another guy you should interview, really interesting guy. But he I
think him and Prince are the only two remaining members that haven't been on here.
No, there's a lot, man. There's some
from that line.
Yeah, exactly. And well, James Woolley, who passed away, but what the fuck was I saying?
We're talking about the going to the Tate house.
Oh, Robin. Okay, so they found Robin, and so Trent hits me back, and this is kind of like when he probably got that letter from me saying, like, you know, I don't know if it's clear or not, but I'll be a guitar tech, I'll be a keyboard player, whatever you want. I'm not picky. I just want to be involved. I love this band. And he hit me back and goes, okay, so we got this guy we're looking at for guitar. What do you think about doing ultimately what became a little bit of keyboards, a little bit of bass guitar, some guitar, like a pickup, you know, guy. And I was like, yeah, of course. And so he flew me back out to the Tate house, and I had yet to meet Robin or anything. And they just saw if I could, you know, matter of fact, Sean Bevan, the producer, was the one who even ran me through it. Trent didn't even bother. He was in the studio actually working on Marilyn Manson's first record, I think, or Downward Spiral. But they had me like just see if I could kind of play the fairly rudimentary at the time keyboard parts, and I could. And so I passed that test, and they go, cool, you want to come see Depeche Mode tonight at the Forum? And I'm like, most definitely. And so my second trip out was I got to go see Depeche Mode. I got to meet them. Once again, I was playing in little small bands and really looked up to Trent. And I'm Depeche Mode, one of my they're my Beatles, basically, them and The Cure. And one of my best weekends of my life, basically.
This is
but I came, okay, so me and Chris, it was me, Chris Verna, Sean Bevan, and Trent. We went to the concert, got to hang out. And then once it was done, we went to their hotel, which had like a bar in it. It was a Sunset Marquee, where actually Gahan ended up ODing like a year later or something terrible, maybe 2 years. But at the time, everybody was good. And we went to that bar. I got tired, Chris got tired, and we go, let's catch a cab back to the Tate house where I was staying. Trent hung out with the band, and I went, back to the Tate house. Chris lived in the guest house, and I was staying in the main house, which had the studio and where Trent lived. And I was going to bed, and I talked about this on the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame podcast, so it might be a old story, but I'm sleeping. I'm trying to sleep. I'm excited as hell. Obviously, I've just met Depeche Mode, and I'm laying down, and a light comes on the phone, and it's one of these old school phones like that had a lot of different lines that the line would light up. You don't see them anymore, but multiple line thing, and the light came on like, holy fuck, someone's in the house, and I'm at this fucking Sharon Tate murder house.
Yeah.
Spin magazine had put out. Everybody knew Trent was living there, and all I could think was, someone's gonna think I'm Trent, and they're gonna try to have some suicide pact insanity, and I'm fucked. And I'm sitting there terrified with the light on, and I'm trying to wish it away, and somehow I scared myself into falling asleep. And I wake up in the morning, and go, and everything's cool. There's no light on. I don't know what happened. A little bit later on, I talked to Chris, and I go, dude, I think someone was in the house last night, and I got scared, and I fell asleep somehow. And he's like, no, I was talking to my girlfriend on the phone, and it's connected out there, so you just saw me. Okay. So that's my big scary story about the Tate house.
I don't think I could have stayed in that house too comfortably. I mean, I went out there with Rolly Mossaman. You guys had just left, and Rolly brought me to the house, and we walked around. And I was only there for like 15 minutes, and I thought it was freaky as shit. I thought, like, get me out of here.
It's weird to see, like, after you watch documentaries and stuff, and it's like, oh, that's the house.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. What did you think about the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood after staying there?
I haven't seen it yet. I was just talking to somebody that I got to see that. I haven't seen it yet.
I mean,
I heard it's fucking awesome.
It's interesting. I mean, it's kind of funny, actually, at the same time.
Dude, by the way, Rolly Mossaman, can I say Young Gods? A band that a lot of people have not investigated. That's like the most insane shit you've ever heard.
Yeah, he was in the Swans, too.
That I did not know.
Yeah, he was the drummer of Swans, one of the original drummers.
I know another dude that played drums, Ted Parsons, that was in Prong.
Yeah. So, well, we're talking, this is 1994, and things are moving fast. And before you know it, I mean, you're on the stage of Woodstock.
Yeah, that was, I mean, dude, once again, everything was just blowing my mind from the minute, like, just meeting Trent, like, in a capacity where, like, not just like casually, like I know Al Jorgensen, so he's been nice to me, whatever. And then Depeche Mode, and I'm just like, this is the best. So we start doing like club dates. Matter of fact, Helter Skelter, I'm sure you remember that, and LA kind of like goth. Would you say goth industrial kind of club?
Yeah.
And we played like a secret show there. That was my first show with 9 Shells, and when we started playing clubs. Then we moved, and that was like, obviously like, oh, secret show, unannounced. Nails was big at that time, not as big as they got, but, and then we played a series of club dates and then a series of theater dates. Out here, we played the Avalon, which is it's now the Avalon. It was the Palace at the time. And, we had an arena's size, an arena truckload full of lights. It was ridiculous how much shit we had. And we were touring with Femme to Femme, who ended up marrying one of the girls in Femme to Femme, and the Typo Negative, which was just kind of coming out. The guy from Carnivore, who's died since too. Everybody's dead, Kevin. But so we're doing these, theater shows, and they had this thing where they offered Trent, a good size of money, a sizable amount of money to play this big festival. And from what I understand, not to speak for him, but what I've heard him say is that, he was reluctant because You know, it could be really cheesy. I don't know, Pepsi sponsor. I don't know enough about it. But it was Woodstock. It could be cheesy, it could be cool. But they offered him a nice amount of money, and he could take all those lights into the theaters and shit. Because one thing I'll say about Trent is I've never seen him. He'll spend his last penny to make something cool. He cares about the presentation and the music like nobody I've ever known. He does not care about money. He makes it awesome. So he did that just to pay for all the shit because we were going to lose money. And we did it, and it ended up, I don't think we didn't talk about it that much. We knew it was we did not know how big a deal it was going to be.
Right.
And we ended up getting all muddy, and that turned into like what would be called viral at the time. Like every time they showed on CNN, this big Woodstock thing, they'd show us because it was like a dramatic look. And David Letterman kept talking about us because in the daytime, we went in the night before to see Aphex Twin. We came in the night before. I'm repeating myself from the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame podcast. I don't ever do podcasts, so maybe I'm saying the same thing twice. I've only done 2 of these. We wake up in the morning after seeing Aphex Twin, and a power line, this is at Woodstock backstage, a power line had fell on the bus, and everyone's like, don't touch anything. Trent was the only one up. He wakes up super early, and was like, don't touch anything. The bus has got a live power line on top of it. So I wake up and go, wow, and I look out the window, and David Crosby is out there. You know what I mean? Like, what the fuck? I thought that guy was like on dollar bills or something. It didn't even seem like a real person to me. You know what I mean? George Washington or something. Like, that's fucking gnarly. And so I just go straight to the bathroom after I've been told not to do it and take a piss. And then as it starts going, I'm like, I'm gonna get electrocuted. I remember there was a plastic toilet and I lived. It did shrink my dick though. That's my excuse. Let me turn that off. But so Woodstock, it ended up being this just giant thing, and I didn't really think it through. We got super wet and muddy. We went out on stage, and there was no rug on the stage, which we were used to, because we'd throw water around and shit. And there was always kind of like a carpet, like at clubs and stuff. And there was no rug, and we immediately start falling down. We can't play guitar because we have mud all over him. We just did not think it through. And it sounded like dookie. I could tell. Trent threw a mic up during the second song, and then it came down and cut the power on my side of the stage. So my shit turned off. It was full panic mode. We get through the set. Afterwards, I'm like, man, you know, I just kind of been in the band barely, not very long at all. I'm like, fuck, man, I hope he doesn't get super bummed at me like I fucked it all up. My mom had recorded it back in Texas on VHS. So I gave her the hotel in New York where we were going to go the next day. Say, please overnight it to us. So we watched it, and Trent was so bummed, as I recall. We were all super bummed because it sounded so bad.
What?
It sounded really bad because we had been playing. We had dialed in our shit, and long story short, it sounded so bad. But I will say this, and I always thought that everybody was kind of upset about it at the time. And I always thought that, but I would say maybe 4 years ago, somebody put up like a nice version on YouTube, and I watched some of it. And I was like, with all that time gone by and me removed and back to just being strictly a fan, I haven't worked with Trent in many years. I was like, oh my God, this is actually cooler than if we had played really spot on. It was like chaotic, and it's flawed, but I've come to think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think that year was the year that basically I watched you guys just take off into the sky. I mean, it was kind of funny because, we had a common ground in the fact that Rave was down there, and we were talking to him a lot. You guys won a Grammy, and I think we sent you a thing. Oh my God, these guys are taking off. And then
we won a Grammy for the Woodstock. Well, Trent's won other Grammys, but we won a Grammy for the Woodstock thing.
Yeah, and so we're like, okay, and it's like, it was well, I mean, considering watching, the whole growth of Nine Inch Nails from our position. It was really, really kind of exciting to see, to witness.
It's an opening act for Skinny Puppy, their first tour, but before I was in the band.
Yeah, before even an album, which was quite kind of insane if you think about it. I remember Trent sent me the demo of the first album, and we heard
I'm
it.
sure he did. He's a big fan.
Yeah, we heard it before the Sherwood LeBlanc treatment, and I've always said to anybody, I think that Adrian Sherwood needs to get a lot of credit for his role in Ministry's album Twitch and Pretty Hate Machine, Nine Inch Nails, because he really helped kickstart you guys, and as well us with working with us on Addiction. And
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, all three of us, and we all worked at Chicago Track Studios too. So
you worked with him at Track Studio? No, you worked in England probably with him.
No, he came over and we worked at Tracks.
Dude, I still look him up. He's got a website and stuff. I've never met him or spoke to him or anything, and Keith LeBlanc, by the way, I'll add him into the Twitch. I don't know if he worked with you, but Twitch and Nails. He's worked with Sherwood, also obviously very integral. But yeah, I've never met Adrian Sherwood, but I still look up, I've got Neubot and remixes he's done, so much stuff. I'm not a big dub guy, but I love what he does with the industrial stuff.
But that's the greatest thing, is that he brought a new side of production into the industrial stuff by not necessarily applying dub techniques, but his
delays, maybe
his tactics. Great usage of delays and stuff like that. And I think that was, at the time, we used to say Sherwood would put a 3/8 delay on half of the things that were rhythmic, and that's what would create that shuffle in the beginning of. If you listen to Twitch and you listen to stuff, you'll hear that 3/8 delay pretty prominently in the stuff that he had. So,
dude, Twitch was, so Ministry, I got MTV when I was in 6th grade, and Ministry used to be one of the acts that was on, MTV, and they'd show clips of videos for a little bumper or whatever. And they had this one video where he looked kind of at the time, what I perceived as The Cure, but more on LSD. I didn't know what was going on. And it ended up being Revenge off the With Sympathy record, which I don't think he claims anymore, but it's fucking awesome, that song. So that's how I discovered Ministry. I'm I love those guys. But then I discovered Twitch from Night Flight. I don't know if you remember Night Flight.
No, you know that?
Yeah.
It was, who's that?
Dre knows it. He's here with me.
Oh, cool. Yeah, it was something that was on late at night on USA Network, and they would just play music videos. They play the Devo.
Oh, okay, yeah, of course.
Sorry, Devo movies and things like that.
Band.
No, sorry, I don't want to hear a band called Night Flight. But so I'd already been a fan of Ministry, didn't own the record yet, but I saw Over the Shoulder, which Peter Christopherson from Coil directed, and that was that literally changed my life, probably more than anything. And rag guitar players are dude, Jimi Hendrix changed my life forever. That Twitch album, which Adrian Sherwood, I think, was a big part of what blew my mind. I saw that video and I was and I recommend looking it up. Ministry, Over the Shoulder. Al looks insane. I was in Texas. There was no internet. I lived in a little shitty small town. It changed my life. It was like Depeche Mode on LSD. It was, or angel dust or something, And so I became this giant fan of Twitch. And I gotta say something else real quick. Shortly, I discovered Twitch, and then I was at this place called Craig's Record Factory, a record store in Corpus Christi, and I was buying an REM record, who I still love. And I was kind of I saw the Vivisect album cover, and that's how I discovered Skinny Puppy, not through industrial or anything. I was just that's the coolest album cover I've ever seen. And I bought the record, as you would do back then. You just bought, and that's how I discovered Skinny Puppy. and you guys too, you and the Twitch album, I was like, I couldn't for the life of me fathom how that type of music was made. I still can't really, but I have a little bit better idea of it. Oral tapestry is, I think, how I heard Skinny Puppy described to me. And I still don't know how you guys did it. And I still ask you for stems and you won't give them to me.
We will.
I want to reverse engineer it.
Yeah, I know. And then, well, we'll get to that.
You will not.
I mean, you know, the thing is that along the way, and then moving quickly, I guess you guys moved to New Orleans after that. And then by all sounds of it, from your compatriots that I've spoken to, the studio down there was like the epicenter of activity. With the people that you were calling upon, I guess you were working with Alan Moulder as a producer, and you had Steve Duda as a technical assistant. I mean, come on,
isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
So Charlie Clouser, he was, you know, he's a brainiac, and he knew Steve Duda through tech support for Digidesign, which Pro Tools is a household name now, but at the time, as you know, it was like, if you either have a car or you have a rig, you know what I mean? You can't have both. It was very hard to get into.
Yes.
But so he knew Duda, and it was the beginnings of like the, you know, I don't want to say the beginnings of the internet, but at the studio down in New Orleans, we needed a tech guy to at the time to back up every night at the end of the night so you don't lose shit, and to create like a local area network. And so we could share files. Because me and Charlie had a studio upstairs. Keith Hillebrand, who's a rad sound designer, he did diffusion of useful noise, and he was poking the ear. He worked on a lot of old, really cool sample CDs if any of you industrial producers want to look for them. And then Trent had this big studio downstairs with Alan Moulder. So we'd have to pass files. And so Steve Duda got hired just off the phone, moved down, and he's since gone on to create many pieces of software, Serum being probably the most famous. And he's Deadmau5's best friend. And
yeah.
You have to interrupt me because I just like to talk a lot.
No, I love it. So there was a question from Joey Galvin. Can you give some insight into the making of the album, The Fragile?
So, okay, so we did this. There was Woodstock. The band went from playing theaters to arenas, like overnight. We had to rebook everything. The band started doing really well. It was crazy. Biggest song said "fuck" in the chorus, but somehow everything was. And at the time it was. I'll get to what you're saying, but at the time it was like, you know, Pearl Jam, Nirvana. Kurt had just died, but you know that was the thing. So everybody's wearing like flannels and you know, working class looking people, whatever. And we were like wearing, you know, gay bondage club outfits and stuff like that. So it was like an odd, and playing prominently, trying to display keyboards, not like embarrassed of the keyboards for once. And so that we couldn't believe he did so well. That all goes down. Marilyn Manson's opening up. Am I still online?
Yep.
And Trent goes, I'm going to move to New Orleans, and y'all want to come with. So we did, and he buys a funeral. Ultimately, he buys a funeral home, which is like, oh, he's trying to be spooky. Same as with the Tate house. We just went. I was with him. I know it's true. Like went looking at places, and the one place that was like the most suited to have like a communal studio situation was a funeral home.
Yeah.
So renovated that. I had a couple scary nights there too, but I'll tell later. I was trying to like catch everybody up to that point, but now I forget what you asked me initially. It was Steve Duda, Alan Moulder.
We were talking about the recording of the album, The Fragile. You guys have come from Woodstock. You're moving in now. You found you had to go from like the most notorious house in Los Angeles, and then you found a funeral home in New Orleans, which became the base for the studio, and where you could bring everybody together and make the albums that. What did you made The Fragile, and what else did you make?
Antichrist Superstar, Coil did their last record there. 12 Rounds, which is Atticus Ross at Trent's. He's a member of Nine Inch Nails now, but more famously, his compadre in scoring films and shit. His band 12 Rounds, a bunch of bands. Trent had a record label at the time. I forget. There was other acts that came down. I don't recall. Clint Mansell, who's a big, he was from Populi itself, but he's a big movie composer now. A lot of people. But so in terms of the Fragile, so when we got down there, it was like, the building needed a lot of work. And initially we were trying to do our own work, like tearing out drywall and stuff, and did what we could, and then had to hire contractors, and eventually a studio got put in there. And this is going to be my interpretations of it. You'd have to ask Trent directly in the future. But my take was that Trent was not ready to hop. He had become this big deal, like Trent Reznor's going to save rock and roll kind of, thing. And I'm assuming he wasn't ready to make a record yet after getting off the road and all that crazy stuff happening. So he, the first thing I recall him doing was Antichrist Superstar from Marilyn Manson to kind of like get the studio up and running and everything. Dave Ogilvy of Skinny Puppy fame was around for that, and Straw Bevan. And that was the beginning of that studio, Nothing Studios, and which had the Tate door. They gave us the Tate door, which Pig was written on and stuff, and the studio he put that door. So it's still on that plastic surgery place that exists there now, if you want to go to New Orleans and look at it. But
did that door still
sorry?
Did that door still have the actual graffiti on it?
No, it's been painted over a million times.
Yeah.
But so that was the main thing that got done. Other little projects, remixes and shit like that got done. But Trent he's slowly putting together music, and me and Klauser would be upstairs generating like beats for him to write over, and doing anything we could to help him out and to be involved. But I mean, God, I don't know how many songs he came up with or ideas for songs, but a shit ton, some of which never made the record. I don't know if he even talks about it, but some stuff I think would have been great on the record. But he was generating all this material, and he's like, let's fuck with this. And I was he goes, let's do this project called Tapeworm, which was going to be me and Charlie Klauser, Trent, with guest singers, most notably Maynard from Tool, Phil from Pantera, a couple of other people. So that was getting worked on, which in retrospect I can go, oh, he was probably just trying to like not work on Nine Inch Nails. But eventually the Fragile started getting worked on, and I know he had a concept. And once again, this is my perspective. I don't want to be like talking for Trent during any of this stuff. But Trent was like into Tom Waits' Bone Machine, as I recall, and loving the idea of like kind of like using some like acoustic instruments, hybriding them with the electronics beyond just like heavy guitars and stuff. Like he bought like violins, he bought all kinds of crazy shit. He didn't know how to play, but he can pick up any instrument and learn it in a minute. He's one of those cocksuckers. But so that was like the concept, as I recall, as he started working on it. cut back though, I know that one thing we did do was the Perfect Drug song. That was the first Nail song we did in that studio before the Fragile. Into drum and bass at the time.
Right.
Did a little kind of jungly kind of beat on that. And we did a song called Somewhat Damaged around the same time, which ended up being the first song on the Fragile. That version I had on cassette, which got eaten by my ex-wife's car, which I wish I still had because it was a different version, which I'm sure Trent has it on a DAT, but it didn't have, it was kind of like maybe more like the Downward Spiral than the Fragile, the way it sounded. Didn't have like the little clunky kind of like stringed instruments and shit. We went back for the Fragile and like replaced like sounds with this concept Trent had where he wanted to use like a lot of, for lack of a better word, stringed instruments and things used in a weird way, like during Perfect Drug, there's the violin. It's just, so we went back and redid Somewhat Damaged. Then, so that was a complete song. I'm not even sure why and how that got finished, like it's a complete song. But then after that, it became Trent working on just song upon song upon song of music. Because the way he worked at that time, I don't know how he works now, is he would usually write, he would generate, probably how y'all work, he would generate a soundscape or, you know, a beat, a chord progression, and then he would write a melody over it, and then lyrics later, last. I know Hurt he wrote as like a song, like a tradition, like a Tom Petty would write, where it's like, here's the chords. If I'm not mistaken, Rick Rubin said, you should try writing a song like a normal guy. That's the only song at the time that he had done like that. So he was generating all these kind of sound beds to write over. Some of which ended up on the Ghosts compilation, as I recall. And fuck, man, I don't know how to, you know, describe it. I just know that it was doing lots and lots of music. In my head, I'd have been, the first 10 things that came out, I'd have been like, that have been my life's, I'd have been proud of that. That's my life's work if I was Trent, but he just kept working. And it ended up being a double record, probably could have been a triple record, definitely could have been a triple record, but it was a long time. I don't remember how long, and Alan Mulder was there recording and engineering and just being the general like peaceful Zen cool dude he is. And I don't know, that's not the best answer for the Fragile, but that's some stuff. Then the record came out.
You've obviously become like a remixer yourself with the name Renholder and so on. I guess like remixing and rearranging songs has become more or less your specialty since then. Is it something that you were picking up along the way, working with these producers that made you? I mean, I know you left Nine Inch Nails on good terms and went on to produce the score for Underworld. In that position of like, okay, the guy that knows which way everything's going to go. Where did you pick up all this direction from along the way?
I got into remixing because, you know, obviously being a fan and being around all these like insane dudes, I could ask questions and things like that. But really, I think what it was is like I had the opportunity. It was just having the opportunity. Now you can go get like an, you know, a cappella off YouTube because of like Guitar Hero and all these video games that have people rip the stems and you can get the music. But I had the stems, but I had the opportunity to get like you know, a Maynard from Tool's vocal or Perfect Circle's vocal. Just opportunity, and I go, I couldn't sing, but I could make music. So it was just one of these things of like, wow, I could fuck with these guys' amazing vocals and kind of try to put new music behind it. And that's really what I did.
I was really meaning like, which of the producers that you worked with really kind of like, sort of like gave you the biggest inspiration that you work with? You work with a lot of very killer producers.
Yeah.
Or is it just the combined experience of it all?
It's just being a fan of all those guys and just giving it my best shot, you know. Maybe Charlie Clouser, because he at the time was doing quite a bit of remixes, and I look up to him, and he was like one of my best friends, and so I could ask him questions, and I was like, maybe I got encouragement through him, you know. I don't know. By no means, like, nowadays there's such better people than what I can do, but it was more of, honestly, just like I felt like being a fan and being able to have access to the vocals. I don't know who inspired me other than all these bands, like, you know, fucking Adrian Sherwood, all these people. I can't say that
I don't know. I mean, I always thought that the team brings forth like the excitement. Like when you know, okay, not everything's on your shoulders. It's like you've got a crew of guys there that include A guy, B guy, and you know, everyone handles their parts just so perfectly. When you get to that point, I remember, you know, feeling that way when we had the Puppy crew all together, all well and oiled, and then we kind of totally fucked ourselves when we went into the Rick Rubin world. You know, I mean, we should never have listened to like that and gone our own way the way that we had. But you know, that's a learning mistake. Where you learn along the way. So whereas
some money.
Our team fell apart right at the same time as you guys were building the ultimate team. And I could almost feel that essence of that. These guys, you guys are on fire, and you guys are you know, you well deserved where you went. I mean, especially like in 1995, when you guys headed out with David Bowie. I mean, this is where it was like, you can't take that away from you in your life, man. I mean, that's like, you know, something that, you know, you'll never forget.
Oh man, like once again, like not to suck Trent's dick, but goddamn, you know, I just happened to fucking get in the room with the dude who people like David Bowie looked up to. And you know, I can remember Lou Reed one time we were in Australia, and he's like, "Is it okay if I come in?" He was like kissing Trent's ass like a fan. There's a video. Someone showed me a video. There's a video of it out there, but and of course Trent was still like the quiet dude. He didn't know how to respond to this shit. It was bizarre, but yeah, that David Bowie thing was after, if I'm not mistaken, after, I don't remember, Marilyn Manson, probably maybe after like the Sweet Dreams era of Marilyn Manson that got worked on a little bit in New Orleans, Smells Like Children. We went out, we were done with the Downward Spiral, but David Bowie, I was living with Trent at the time, we were renting a house, and David Bowie called and was like, "You want to go do a tour?" And we weren't trying to go do a tour, but Trent's like, "Fucking right, we'll go do that tour." And
that's when you guys must have known things are going to be getting super real right now.
Dude, it was honestly, ever since the whole thing for me was just like, it just kept getting more and more. I'm sure it was crazy for Trent, but more and more gnarly. Like the people who would come out to shows, like, you know, celebrities or whatever, it was a trip. And Hershey, PA, that might have even been the first show of that tour.
Sunday, September 17th, 1995. Yeah, that's when you guys, I remember, because like, God, talk about, like, you guys are just are like on your on fire. And at that exact moment, Dwayne had just died like 2 weeks earlier. I remember calling you guys at the studio, and I asked for Rave, and I don't know who answered, but I was like bawling, and I was like, "Is Rave there? Is Rave there?" And I don't know who it was. It was like put Rave on. It was like, just, yeah, it was a nightmare.
Was that you telling him that it happened?
Yeah. I called him and told him it happened there in the studio.
What a loss. What a incredible mind. Like
it's funny, you know. It's not funny. I mean, it's I was very happy to see like where you guys were headed in that sense with your success, but I was feeling like at the same time our demise. So
he was an integral part of the band. I mean, he was like, if I'm not mistaken, like the musician, the kind of like classical musician or something almost.
Dwayne, well, I mean, it's kind of like having your team together. when you've got your team together, everything rolls and everything's great. But without it, I mean, you know, having Dwayne die and then the next day I could show up at the studio and realize, you know, where I was at, I was like, okay, I'm fucked. And in some ways, it's kind of nice that, you know, we've managed to maintain our, you know, at some level of where we're at. But certainly,
you also have all the classic stuff that he contributed to you guys that you could always, everybody always wants to hear performed.
Yeah, I mean those never get. I don't know. I mean, I don't get tired of playing them live because I'm sort of like, you know, when you lose your friend, you're basically paying tribute to your friend too when you're playing them. So it's kind of cool. But I mean, you know, after now, you know, like when David Bowie died, that must have tripped you up. You must have been like, Jesus Christ. The guy was just.
What was crazy about David Bowie for me was that he took a liking to me, and we became like actual friends, like out after the tour and everything. And I'm like, once again, like we're talking about these weird scenarios I've been in. I'm like, how the fuck of all, you know what I mean? Like, yeah. But you would think, 'cause I have a crass sense of humor and stuff, and he just was so into it. I thought he would just be drinking wine and, you know, kind of looking at, turning his nose up, and I'd be embarrassing myself the whole time. Coolest dude ever.
Oh man, I wish I could have heard some of your humor on that. I would love to have been a fly on the wall for that, man.
He would not how I perceived he would be. He was a normal dude. Like I can't stress enough. I think Trent feels the same way. It's like he couldn't have been a cooler dude. I can't, you know, I can't stress it enough. But yeah, and I remember when he passed away, Lemmy had died recently. We all kind of expected him to be dying at some point, but I asked you, I helped kind of like curate this big DJ, big party, and we got you DJ'd. We had a lot of people. I don't even remember.
Tons.
That was a big night. Yeah, it was packed. So we got to celebrate him.
Yeah, yeah. He also did an artwork of you, didn't he? It's like a painting or something.
Oh, wait. Carry the conversation.
Yeah, it's it's not everybody in the world that has a piece of artwork that David Bowie did of you. I think. Wow, that was a great sound effect. Oh, this is a fatal sound effect.
Sample that later. Oh wait, is he gone?
Yeah.
Oh no.
He'll be back, people.
Oh man, I have a question for him.
Yeah. Okay.
Or an antidote.
No, I think the thing is you know, he's going to go find the original artwork that David Bowie did of him, and it sounded like the phone took a dump. So hopefully the phone is okay. And if the phone isn't okay, then I will be held responsible for a premature ending to the chat.
Oh, no.
But it's Halloween, so I could say, you know, trick or treat to you guys out there. What do you? Let's check in on the comments here. Hello, Ryan Lampton, Ska, Jason Brown, Ben Lusk, Grey Death, Bird Spanker, and all sorts of people out here. Thank you for tuning in. We're anxious to see Danny come back. You know that sound though, the sound of the
I'm so sampling that later.
Of the phone falling. Okay, either we're sampling it for later, and this is how the chat ends. It could be a fatal flaw.
Fatality. So
yes, it is true, ladies and gentlemen, that after the chat here, Zombie Dre is going to be doing a special Halloween set. Did you get your thing hooked up?
Yeah, I think it's going to work.
Oh, good.
I was having major technical.
So what happens is when Dre comes here, he always encounters the ghost.
Yeah.
There is a ghost here which will not allow Dre to comfortably set up. Here's Danny. He's back.
Oh, I just saw Godzilla. Godzilla.
He's back. He's back.
Dun, dun, dun. Dun, dun, dun.
Man, sorry, dude.
That was okay. It was dramatic.
Dude, I ate shit. I went in my house and I got like a million dogs trying to separate them.
It was
I
awesome.
You heard it?
The sound effect was immensely great.
I ate shit and I just blew my big ass Taco Bell drink. I'm so bummed because I'm super dry mouth. But I couldn't. The painting was not in. It's never even been on my wall. It's always in different rooms because I like to show people. But I found it.
Look at that thing. So how did he do that? You know?
And then he
my.
signed the back. Says, "Loved your last movie. Can't wait for your first." He was trying to get me to be an actor. Believe it or not.
You believe that?
Yeah, he was like he brought to one of the shows. He brought like
Is that?
Jeff Goldblum and Laura Dern to have a talk with me, and
Are you kidding? Oh my god!
Yeah, he set up a meeting with like Johnny Depp's agent and all this shit, but I was too afraid. Just like I'm afraid to do podcasts.
Is that like? Oh, he can't hear me. Is that one of you like the one possession that you could show out of this whole experience? That must be one of your prized possessions.
Oh, so much for that math shit. Doesn't work. Yeah, I mean,
it is a religious artifact at this point in time. Like, sorry, anything to do with David Bowie is a religious artifact.
Yeah, you know what he did? He had one of the original digital. Oh, please give me that. Hey, can you bring those things on my piano, like the
Is it?
What was I saying, dude? I was finishing a comment.
Well, we're talking about Bowie, and
yes.
We're
so dude, he had like a digital camera, like one of the first ones, real shitty one, and he just took picture. He took a picture and didn't know why. You know, he's always doing art, and I don't know, you know, and he painted it in his hotel room.
Is that? Do you know how he did that artwork? What is it? Is it like what's the medium?
Paint.
Paint.
I don't.
Just paint.
It's not. I'm looking at it now. It's not. It's probably acrylic. I don't really know. Oil paint, I think, takes forever to dry, so I can't imagine it would have been that. He did it in hotel rooms.
Oh, did he do it while you guys were on the road together?
Yeah, like, you know, he took a picture one night, and then a while later he gave me this picture.
Man, that's priceless.
I don't know what he used. It's not watercolor.
Yeah.
It's I don't know. But you know what's also cool is did I drop this thing? No. You
also did a mix, Bring Me the Disco King mix, where you were able to call upon Frusciante to take part in that. So was there some discourse with Bowie as well during that?
Yeah, he basically doing that underworld thing, which Skinny Puppy, first track from Skinny Puppy in a long time, got on there. I don't remember the actual.
It was the reform.
So the re-entry into.
You put it back together.
No, they were already doing it, but we got it. There's another song I wanted that had like this rad vocal edit, but they wouldn't let us use it. I don't know, like this technique that you guys were using, they wouldn't let us use that one. I can't remember what it was called, but it was like Mark Walk, is that his name?
Yeah, Mark, yeah.
I think it was like a new technique he didn't want to like let out too soon, but yeah, so that Bowie track, I basically was just like the underworld thing, just pulling favors, going like you know, like I said, oddly enough, I had to become friends with them. I called them up. God damn, it's already on low power. I'll have to plug this bitch in. Kayla! I got my friend's wife is staying with me.
Is it? I have to say that you also have a nickname, Edith Bunker, which is kind of applicable in this case.
Yeah, sorry. What that's about is like back when I was in metal bands in high school, which would have been like the 88, 87,
so let's
88.
talk about the Bowie song, Bring Me the Disco King, where you pulled in Maynard. Did you pull in Maynard as well?
Well, let me finish my Edith Bunker thing.
Okay.
When I was in metal bands back in that day, there was bands like Sodom and Celtic Frost, and they'd have like, my name's like Angel Ripper and Butthole Destroyer and shit like that. And so as to make a joke out of that, I call myself Edith Bunker, and they'd say like, I'm terrorizing hellbound vocals, and so I put like Edith Bunker shrieks and whatever. So that's what that is. Bowie, bring me the Disco King. What?
Yeah, no, I think like, I mean, okay, is it more exciting to work with him as a band, playing with him, with Bowie on a stage, or is it more exciting when you know you're working on a project with him, where you can pull in arguably one of the greatest counterparts, you know, on earth to take part with you? Like, I mean, call in, oh no, I'll just call in Frusciante, and I'll just call in James Maynard Keenan. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just
yeah.
Average specs.
Dude, it's not a bummer to stand on stage next to David Bowie and be like, I'm with him. You know what I mean? Can't deny that. But that I'm proud of that Disco King mix, because once again, because I got to, you know, John Frusciante on it and stuff. But if you hear the original song, it's very much not like that. Mike Garson, the amazing pianist for Bowie, I think he was the writer of the music, and it's real kind of jazzy and stuff. And the song I did is nothing like it. Yeah, dude, hearing his dry voice, even I remember doing that remix. I think at the very end, I have his voice just bone dry, because like, just to let people hear what I was hearing. Like, once again, is before you could get acapellas off the internet. I was just like, holy fuck, David Bowie, what? But
I'll bet he sounds just as good dry as he does with any effect you could ever put on it.
Yeah, I don't think he needs any effects. He's
no reverb.
Nothing.
So what's the, you know,
David Bowie, man.
What's the takeaway for you when you look back and you think like, you know, I was in a band that I did this and I did this and I did this and I met all these people and I did this, and what's the takeaway? What's the one thing you think like, that was the peak for me?
The takeaway of the peak, I would say the peak. I don't believe there was a peak, man. Honestly, the whole thing was just like, still to this day, I can't believe it. You know what I mean? I'm just so thankful, and always have been, just filled with gratitude. Because I'd done these metal blade bands and stuff, and it was a hobby, you know. To think that I could actually, I haven't had a real job since I was working at a car wash when I was in college. Like I've gotten so lucky. So there's never been a real peak. The takeaway is just immense gratitude, primarily for Trent. Like, just really can't be thankful enough. Such lucky. And I get to meet people like you fucking hero of mine, even though I tried to get you to work on a song, you never would do it.
I want to work on a song with you. I'm surprised we haven't yet. But you know, I
had a song I put on the Underworld soundtrack. I tried to get you on when you were doing that End of Days thing, but it didn't end up happening. But maybe, but someday we will.
I just have to say, you know, like the tapeworm experience is where I originally met you. You came over to my house and you were talking about tapeworm, and we're talking, this was 1998. And you kind of filled me into what you guys are working on and stuff like that. But sweetest guy in the world hooks me up with John Debney. And then I end up working on like what every musician wants to do when they come to Hollywood. You get to do a real film score with a real dude. And that was the most classic experience. If I have a takeaway about moving to LA, I'll say, well, getting to work with John Debney on that, with the big full orchestra and everything like that. And then we did another movie called The Double after that. But you know, my takeaway from it is like, holy shit, I am not prepared compared to how these, you know, guys like John Debney are. Like the work they do and the amount of fucking work that goes behind that is just unbelievable. So I ended up working, you know, at Hans Zimmer's studio with Alan Meyerson and Hans Zimmer and Debney one day. And I was thinking like you, was like, okay, well, it doesn't get any bigger than this. And so I just kind of felt like I had my moment, you know, had my 5 minutes.
To what I think is odd is that, and that needs to change, is that a Skinny Puppy in your work, there was never a better, I can think of two people that is like, they have to make soundtracks, Skinny Puppy and Massive Attack. I don't know if Massive Attack ever did, but that's two artists that, like, I know other people that have come up and become big composers and stuff. Some really good friends of mine, like Joe Bashar, I don't know if you know him.
Yeah.
He's does all the Conjuring, all of these horror movies, Charlie Clouser, Clint Mansell, of course, Trent Reznor. And I've had the opportunity to work for some big time guys too, just doing, you know, helping them, not really being obviously the composer, but yeah, we need a Kevin Key score. We don't know why that's not happened yet.
I swear I live in a ghost zone, in a hole, a big black hole, and nothing comes in here but bullets. So
you have to go out. You have to go out and get it.
Yeah, I know. I've heard, but
people don't know that you're approachable. They think that you're like in a coffin somewhere.
I know. I'm not like you though. It's like if there's an opportunity, you're gonna find out about it and you're gonna go grab it. Like you auditioned for Metallica.
They fucked up, man. They could have given me a 7-figure check and they'd have me in their band right now.
Can you imagine? Do you think you could have handled the Metallica sort of world though, all in all? If they, you know how they are, that's kind of like sell your soul. We give you $1 million check.
Well, okay, so my first, like, I've been a music fan my whole life, like ever since my mom let me go to my first concert, which was a Plasmatics and Kiss of all, in 6th grade. I went to every concert, even if I wasn't a huge fan. Every concert that would come to Corpus Christi. Dude, after ADD, I don't even know what I'm talking about. What did I just say?
We're talking about Metallica every concert.
Okay, so I got into, like, I was into skateboarding and I got into Minor Threat, Misfits from some guys I met through that skateboarding. And so I was into hardcore, then I got into Discharge and slightly more metal type stuff. And then I discovered Ride the Light. I discovered the first Metallica record, liked it, but wasn't super into it, but Ride the Lightning changed my life by Metallica. And so I'm a huge Metallica and Pantera and that era of metal fan. So I knew that, like, so my background is in all that stuff. So I think I understood their trajectory, although I had kind of fallen out after the Black Album, so I didn't really know the Load and Reload. And when I went and got the audition, there were 6 of us. It was, if I could remember, it was a couple of oddballs that probably never get the gig, like myself, Twiggy from Marilyn Manson, Jordy, Eric Avery from Jane's Addiction, and Chris Wise from The Cult, and then of course Rob, who got the gig, and Pepper Keenan from Corrosion of Conformity. So to me, Rob and Pepper from Corrosion probably the ones who get the gig, or Chris Wise is amazing. But I just knew I loved the band and they're giant, and obviously it's like, fuck yeah, I want to go do that. Big fan. And when they called, Bob Rock, the producer, called me and gave me the list of songs to play. It was all like shit that I grew up, like, you know, For Whom the Bell Tolls, Master of Puppets. Very few of the songs I didn't know. Just one called Fuel, which happened to be the easiest song. I went up there. It was odd because it was such a huge scene. Once again, there were people that I looked at like, I had met them and been, Kirk Hammond, I'm sure you've met him. He's into industrial music. I had actually met the best, dude. I had been friends with him since well before I was in Nails, you know, acquaintances, I should say. Never met James before, so I was really intimidated by him when he came in, but he was super cool to me, not what I expected. I didn't understand that they were going through all this shit. Like, that people later can see on that Some Kind of Monster movie. I
Yeah.
went into the middle of that documentary. All I knew was they had cameras there, and the guys who did the Damien Eccles movies. I don't know if you remember. Fuck, I can't remember. You know those kids that got blamed for satanic ritual murders of some kids like in Arkansas or some shit like that. You know, great movies, but those guys were documenting it. It's like, oh, that's cool. Went in there, did it. You know, they gave you a release to sign, and I'm like, fuck, I'm not gonna, you know, because I remember when I was a kid, they got Jason Newsted in the band, and all they did was like clown him and make fun of him and shit. I'm like, I'm not signing a release to get made fun of. Like, you know, here's like his track solo, and he thought he could be a Metallica. You know, I didn't know what would happen, so I just wrote my phone number down. They had no idea. So when they were going to Sundance, they called me up and were like, dude, you didn't, you know, our lawyers are tripping out, blah, blah, blah. I was like, I don't want to look like an asshole. And once again, I don't know what's going on. I don't know if that's what their game is or, you know, what, only from when I grew up and I saw they had kind of embarrassed the other guy. And so they sent me a video overnight and they go, we're just going to put you in for just 1 second just to have a representation of you. And I go, perfect. They sent it to me and they weren't making fun of me. I'm only in there for a second, but it's like by my choice. But so I'm the only guy who got to approve his involvement.
Oh, right.
But yeah, I don't know if I could have handled it. I got a big mouth and I'm sure I would have got my ass kicked out by now.
Yeah, you never know how much fun it would have been, especially at that time. It seemed like the Some Kind of Monster era was like just chock full of like emotional issues.
And odd, like not like this, like that's not what I thought. Like, because James Hetfield, who's a hero of mine, I did not know much about him. I've not seen a lot of interviews. It's like, wow, it was odd. He was in a raw state, I'm assuming at that point. I'm sure I would have fucked that up. And the guy that got robbed is the most amazing bass player and the coolest dude ever. He's
a monster, that guy.
It's a monster and the sweetest guy. And like, so I could have never competed with that.
I mean, trying out for bands like that has got to be, I don't know. It can't be fun. Is it fun? I mean, I don't know. You tried out for the Chili Peppers too.
You know, trying out for Metallica was another thing. Like Bowie, like I can remember playing the song "For Whom the Bell Tolls" from Metallica, and it has this like just this full headbanger thing. And Hetfield comes over to me, and he's just like, and I'm like, once again, all this music shit is just me as a fan going, I can't believe I'm in the room with these people. So I'm sitting there just going, Hetfield's like headbanging with me to a song. I've been in the crowd, like, give me a guitar pick, you know. So I don't look at it as I was not scared to get the gig, but I didn't ever think I was going to get it. It was like being on stage with Bowie. I was like, I just can't believe this is happening. Like, to me, the success was getting a free ticket to San Francisco and getting to play classic songs that I absolutely love.
And it must have been a rush when you finally got out there and heard it, and you realized, wait, I am the bass player for Metallica right now.
I was pretty nervous, I guess, but it was, you know, I was so used to playing with Josh Freese. Matter of fact, I rehearsed a couple of those songs with Wes Borland and Josh Freese.
Right on.
And yeah, just to rehearse them. And that was way easier because Lars, it was difficult for me to play. I had a little bit of trouble playing with Lars because the consistency of like a Josh Freese is so much easier. So I'm like watching his kick drum, watching for this thing because I'm scared. I can't really hear that well. But long story short, so cool. Yeah, I suck at these things, dude. I'm so ADD. I apologize. I'm all over the place.
No, man. It's great. I mean, you know, I'm kind of like trying to point out too that like with your group of friends, like between Wes Borland, Josh Freese, Billy Howardell, Rich Patrick, Josh Eustace, like all these guys that you work with on a regular basis. I keep on waiting for the end result, and it just so like a lot of these bands seem to. Well, I mean, of course, you become a member of a perfect circle, and also
I worked with early versions of Skrillex too. Like I have music that's never been released. That's awesome.
Early member of Skrillex.
I worked with early versions of Skrillex music.
Wow, unbelievable! I didn't see
he was at the time. Well, I met him through Wes Borland and Ross Robinson, an amazing producer, Ross Robinson, because Skrillex, Sonny is his real name, he was a singer, a fantastic singer in a band called From First to Last, and Wes had played on that record. Met him through that, and he was really interested in electronic music, so he didn't know how to run a computer or anything at that time.
What? Another one of these stories?
Yeah, and a year later, I'm just like, please teach me how to get that Prodigy bass sound.
Are you kidding?
Yeah, nah, dude. But he was singing over it, so it was like he was already working on his first record, which became big. I can't remember what it was called, but his first record. But it was so weird. He was calling that Skrillex. What I was working on was called Sunny, which was like maybe the Trent Reznor version of dubstep, where he took the dubstep kind of sound, but we were doing it like more in song format, verse, chorus stuff, and he was singing. So the stuff I have sounds like old Skrillex, but with him singing on it. But he did, so, because like record companies were interested in that, not so much as weirdo Aphex Twinny kind of IDM, which I later learned is dubstep. But he just kept doing that on his own, and he made that shit happen on his own without a record company. I think maybe Deadmau5 put his label out, his record out, but that guy that's how he ended up in that fucking band From First to Last when he was a teenager. He met him on MySpace. That guy, that's a guy who knows how to get shit to happen.
That's crazy, man. You knew Skrillex before he didn't know how to use a computer? Are you kidding me?
Absolutely. And he asked me to produce his first record, which is a Sunny record, which I don't know if it ever came out. But unfortunately, when he hit me up and asked me, I was in Germany. Me and my mom and my brother went on a vacation after my dad died, and she fell ill on the vacation, and which ended up leading to her death. We were stuck in, she had brain cancer, which kind of reared its ugly head on a vacation, but that was my opportunity to produce a record for him. And then after that, no longer needing a producer, quite clearly.
So many cool people you've had the opportunity to not only work with, but also meet. Who do you think is like one of the most impressive people that you met in your time? This guy?
Oh, yeah, I should do that, thinking you'd love that.
That's Florian Schneider, or is that that's Florian Schneider from Kraftwerk.
Kraftwerk, yeah, he came to a show in Germany. That's Charlie Klauser on the far right. I think he was the most excited by that.
Nobody gets to meet Kraftwerk. Maybe Bowie does. That's probably why you got to meet him.
He just was there, and I see. I don't remember the details, but I remember thinking he's not into this music at all, but he's being nice enough to hang out with us. I felt like, I don't know if he said something or if I just thought that, but he watched the whole show and hung out, and he's since passed too. Dude, you know who? Like some of the most, man, I've worked with some people that. A lot of people, obviously Trent probably being I'm most impressed with for the breadth of like getting melody, and he could make pop songs all day if he wanted. He just shit them out, but he doesn't, I've seen him do so much stuff. So and Maynard, Skrillex, Josh Eustace from Telephone Tel Aviv, that dude is fucking incredible. He's got a music degree. That's a guy who should be scoring movies. He can chart strings. He's a little genius. And the Telephone Tel Aviv is obviously amazing.
You have a band with him. Is it that Black Light Burns?
That was Wes Borland's band after he quit Limp Bizkit that we did at my house. And Josh Eustace helped me produce the record. So on the record, it's like me, Josh Eustace, Wes Borland being the main guy, and Josh Freese. And that record's called Cruel Melody, which a lot of people haven't heard, but if you like industrial music or whatever, you should check it out. Even though like, a lot of y'all might not like Limp Bizkit, this is what, once again, that's another one. That's one of the most impressive people I work with. In fact, Billy Howardell often says that's the most impressive guy he's ever, his musician friend, because that dude, he can do lifelike oil paintings. He can do he's the most incredible visual artist. And of course, his costumes and shit. He's an insane guitar player. He can write music in any genre, killer lyricist, great person. And he'll also like pull a knife out and like fix your faucet for you, or get a piece of lumber out of the yard and all of a sudden he made a guitar. Like the guy's insane. So, but yeah, we had that band, and that band, I would say it often got kind of like, maybe it's in a Nine Inch Nails kind of world. So fans of Nine Inch Nails might enjoy it.
How does working with a Perfect Circle or one of the Pussifer or any of these other groups differ at all from working with Nine Inch Nails? Is it feel different? Does it feel?
Well, Perfect Circle is like, yeah, it's very different. I would say with Perfect Circle, it's like, Billy Howardell's baby. And so it's kind of like trying to work in a capacity that you present like what he needs from people and stuff. So I kind of got to figure out what his mind, and sometimes I would be off the mark, and in retrospect, kind of making it sound like Nine Inch Nails when it really should sound like Perfect Circle. At the time, me not being focused enough to understand that. Maynard, like with Pussifer and stuff, surprisingly easy, because unlike like a Trent, and I worked with actually Rob Zombie on his like early solo records too, and he was also similar to this, where not real like really let you you discuss it, maybe have a few suggestions musically, but he would just do his vocal thing, and we really, unlike Trent, who was like hands-on with everything, he would be kind of like happy to just come sing. I don't know how Pussifer works these days, because I worked in the very beginning stages of it. And at the time, our concept was kind of like, once again, like everybody's a Tom Waits fan, but we were kind of industrial Tom Waits was kind of like maybe the initial ideas for that. But yeah, so working with Maynard is surprisingly easy. And Trent's easy too, but Trent definitely doesn't need you there. You know what I mean? He can do everything by himself. So it's like, whereas Maynard or Rob Zombie was just kind of happy to like judge from afar, and that was a little easier maybe to not really have to guess so much. They were kind of cool with not with whatever you turned in, but to a degree.
What are you working on these days?
I just did like so I did a couple of remixes. I just did a remix for the singer for the Dwarves, Blag. He's putting a solo record out. I did a remix for this band called Killer Be Killed, which is a good friend of mine, Greg from Dillinger Escape Plan. And was it Black Audio? Is that the name of his other?
Nice.
I'm spacing on the name of it. He has a band that they put out a couple of records with that had telephone television. What's it called?
Black Queen.
Black Queen.
My bad. Black Queen. Black Audio's Dave, the guys from AFI. So did remix for him. I'm mixing a record right now that for a chick from Texas. Her band's called Lay Destroy, and we did a couple of songs for the Cyberpunk video game.
Nice.
It's kind of like female fronted industrial music, I guess. Josh Freese is playing on it. Just did some stuff with the guys with Scott from Crystal Method, another one of your guests. one of which, a song that was going to be on the record, but we're going to use it for something different with Hannah Vandermolen singing, which, man, that's one of my favorite things I've worked on in 10 years. I'm really proud of that. So it's Scott from Crystal Method, me, and Hannah, who's not got anything out at this point, I don't think, but will soon. And I have a band with her. Hello, kitty. Which, hello. So I have a project with Hannah, which I'm probably most excited about. That's what I hope the Crystal Method collaboration will go on. And Hannah and I also, she's a singer, have been working with Paul, the original bass player from Tool, Paul D'Amore, who wrote a bunch of killer music, and we've been kind of trying to help on that. I'm famously crazy late on everything I ever work on, so I'm super late on that. He probably hates my guts at the moment, but that's like I guess, other than those finishing mixing that album, my project with Hannah, which doesn't have a name, and my project with Paul D'Amore are my two I'm most excited about things.
Nice.
Which, yeah.
That sounds exciting. Hannah is also a wonderful painter, by the way.
Insane.
Insanely
I wish I remembered her. Go look her up on Instagram. I want to say it's at Hannah Vandermolen, which is HANNAHVANDERMOLEN. Sorry, that's a tongue twister, but insane. She just did a painting for like a family portrait for Charlie Clouser and his wife Judy.
Oh, nice.
It's this giant painting, and it's like Charlie's car's on fire in the background. He's like lighting a cigarette. She's lighting a match. It looks like it's on Mulholland. It's this crazy, like they're walking away from the scene of a crime. That's on her Instagram too, if y'all want to look at it. But yeah, she's an amazing singer though. Like, she's a killer painter, but I can't wait to unleash this. She's an amazing lyricist and singer, and honestly, that's the best shit I've probably worked on since Nine Inch Nails.
Do you have?
I mean, I gotta play you some. Maybe I have played. I don't know, but
do you work in a studio in your house on this, or is it?
Yeah, I have a studio. You didn't come up and see my studio.
You didn't show me the studio. I've been to the house a couple times and didn't see the studio.
Yeah, I have a studio upstairs, and yeah, so like everybody, a studio in their house.
That's where the magic happens. Well, I mean, the list goes on and on and on, man. I could be like, hey, how was it working with Marilyn Manson and Eminem?
Pretty cool. I did a remix of, I've done two remixes for him, for Eminem. One was The Way I Am, which he mentions Marilyn Manson. So once again, just lucky dude, happened to have Marilyn Manson's number. I was like, you want to come and guest on this track? And we went to the Perfect Circle studio and did it. And when he references Manson, I like sampled Beautiful People, and it's a pretty cool track. And I did Lose Yourself with Wes Borland. But I mean, I don't know. Eminem's the GOAT.
You're all over the place. Like Methods of Mayhem. How's it working with that guy?
Tommy's one of my good friends. I met him in '93, and he's just a funny dude. He played some drums on a Brooke Candy song for me not that long ago. In fact, we went and played Pride, me, Hannah, and Brooke Candy. Brooke Candy, if you haven't heard of her, she's a rapper, but like a punk rock. She's a white chick. She's like a punk rock. I don't know how to describe her. She's fucking awesome. But we did a song with her, and we went and performed at Pride with her when she was playing. So it's me and Tommy and Hannah. That's like on the internet. I think it's called. Fuck, I don't remember. It's a good song though. But
the mystery of Danny Lohner's many.
I got to work with Dr. Dre too, which was another like holy shit, I can't believe I'm. Yeah, it was on a Nine Inch Nails song, but
So he showed up. He was there.
We went to his studio. We flew out here from New Orleans, and he helped us on a song called "Even Deeper," which I did the beat for, and I was hoping he would make, redo the beat. He's like, "No, dude, that's banging." It's not. It could be way better if he redid the beat. But
what did he add? Did he add anything that was
He pretty much mainly mixing stuff. He was like, kind of like, "No, y'all know what you're doing," and I would have liked to see him. Oh, and he had his backing vocalist come in and sing like that, singing all like, he was doing the Chronic 2000 at the time. So He had like, the backing vocalist, they came and sang, and it's kind of a blur, but he didn't do as much as, he didn't want to do that much on it. He's like, "It's fucking awesome. Let's leave it the way it is." And he helped mix it basically. But
and what about the Japanese artist Hyde? How did you get hooked up with that?
That was like, he's like, I worked with, man, a couple of dudes. I can't remember. My ex-wife used to work for Yoshiki. I don't know if you know who that is. He's from
Japan,
which is like,
yeah,
Guns N' Roses over there.
Yeah,
giant.
They're huge.
Amazingly huge. And but I never worked with him. But then I got the opportunity to work for Hyde, probably through Sean Bevan, who was producing, I think. But I wasn't familiar with him, but he is another. And I know you have a lot of Japanese. You're a big Japanese fan, and you go there often. Hyde, he may have been. I want to say, no, I don't remember what band he was in. He was in another band, another one of those dudes. I got to work on a couple of Japanese artists that would come over here, and they were just like massive stars over there.
Yeah.
Nobody, of course, knew them over here. They'd be showing up and renting houses in Beverly Hills, showing up in Ferraris and shit. And I got to play that Hyde record. I think Sean Bevan pulled me in. I played bass on it. And it, man, I'm already forgetting. There's another, no, that's, fuck, I don't know. I played on a couple of those dudes that are like, it's like forgetting Axel's name if you were Japanese, but I've forgotten their names. But I got to play on a few just through did one, and then I got the opportunity to play on a few just because the guy who, having a Japanese American guy he was a Japanese guy living in America who would kind of get the same people. He would, rehire you, and they pay you in cash. They take you in a room. You think you're like in a gangster meeting, and they just go like, I remember one time I was playing, maybe it was Hyde's record. They gave me all this money, and I was in a weird state of mind at the time. And they gave me all these hundreds, and it was under the table. I paid taxes, of course, on it, but and I gave like half of it. I gave like thousands of dollars away because it was at Christmas time, because I had all these $100 bills, and it was like funny money. And I don't know why, but that was a weird thing. I gave away. I went through a phase of giving away a shit ton of money, thousands of dollars to homeless people over Christmas one year with Japanese money. Yen turned into dollars.
I keep on getting asked this question. What's your favorite instrument, synth, guitar, or bass?
I think guitar.
Guitar.
I suck at synth, but yeah, guitar, I guess.
You'd rather be
I don't know,
as the guitarist and not delegated to bass is what you're saying.
I'll do whatever. I don't really have an issue either way, but I think I just enjoy playing guitar. But yeah, I think whatever. I played whatever I gotta play, whatever people will let me play.
Another question from Joey Galvin. Was there going to be a return to Nine Inch Nails for you ever?
Trent's got to come correct with the green before I'll come back. They can't afford me right now, but a couple more Academy Awards and you might be able to pull me back in, throw some zeros on the end of that check. There's no plans of that. Never even kind of think about it or come up. I'd do it, but no, there's no plans of that.
Well, they've got like
text him, fucking blow up his Instagram and tell him he's fucking up. He needs to break out dust off that checkbook and get me in the mix.
Yeah. He can afford it now.
Yeah, they don't need me. They got it wired though. They don't need anybody. They got a great band.
I mean, you know, they can afford it.
I'm
One thing that people don't know too much about it is like your true artist form. Your true art is expressed in photos.
Oh, yeah. That's part of my art project, Tweekend at Bieber's. And there, I think I see a Mrs. Key's boobs in that picture.
Yeah, how about that? I don't know. She improvised that night too. When she saw you, she was like, "Wait, I'm getting into the." But yeah, no, this is I did
not know that. She's doing quite well for herself. You're welcome there, Kevin Key.
So there's a whole series of these pictures. I was going to try and go and grab some more, but I think you're the originator. I've seen some people come up and try and copy that, and it's just not pulled off as well, Danny. You definitely got the prize on that. And anybody else that tries to copy that look, you know, try and not do that and hand off the credit to Danny where it's deserved.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. I'm the man. I actually have tons more of those, but I broke my phone and they're just buried in the phone somewhere. Like I started feeling like that's so people are gonna hate keep putting out those pictures. I got self-conscious that like people were like gonna get that I was beating, that people were like not into it, and so I quit putting them up. But I have a shit ton. Basically anytime I see a celebrity and I'm in the mood, I'll interrupt them. And I've never been turned. I got like Tyler the Creator, Juliette Lewis, Ron Jeremy. I got a great one of Ron Jeremy. I got Puddles from the clown that with the golden voice. I don't know if you know who that is. Puddles Pity Party. I got a lot of good ones, some of which I haven't put up. But that started as I played a couple of gigs with Crystal Method, and during the rehearsals for that was right when Justin Bieber was like losing his mind. You were hearing like, oh, he got busted with cocaine and a bunch of people in his house and blah, blah, blah. And it was just a joke. In fact, I think the first one I did, I might've been with Richard Patrick, because he was doing those shows too, playing a song he did with Crystal Method. It was just like, they had a record called Tweekend, and we just had a running joke for the weekend, like Tweekend at Bieber's. Like I was pretending, I was like writing the captions were all like, everything's cool. Me and Justin are in West Hollywood right now. Don't believe the press. You know, I was like kind of pretending I was with him, like on this whatever coke binge he was on, and then that's where it all started. And then I just kept doing it, but I haven't put them all up yet. I think there should be a gallery. I've done two. I'm a fan. Two with you.
Yeah, two with me. Maybe more. Maybe more.
Can we talk about what a genius Chris Corner is? I don't know if we did that earlier or not, but I can't stress that enough. IMX.
Yeah, he is, and it's always been great when the group of us get together and are able to hang.
I remember we were at I don't remember the name of the club anymore, but I saw you there, and I was wearing Complex. I was wearing my Vivisect shirt, and we ended up going back and hanging with him. And I know your chick was a big fan, and we all are big fans. And he's another dude that I met him through Gary Newman, not to drop another name, but Gary Newman had toured with him. And I was like, holy shit, you know the dude from IMX? He's like, he's the coolest. I'll introduce you. And he's the one who introduced me, him and Gemma, his wife, who's the best person ever.
Yeah, we love him.
The coolest, man.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Their whole family's the best. They're like, that's another one of those guys that's you never expect to be that humble and cool. Like, but Chris was another one who I was a little intimidated by, going, oh, I'm gonna like my wild big mouth. He's gonna hate me and stuff. And he was really nice to me, and I was stuck. I thought he'd be like too upper crust for me or whatever, highbrow, but he's totally cool. And I listen to his shit. such a huge fan. Lyrically, everything, just can't get enough of him.
The guy's gifted.
And the new, his insane voice. He's just everything. He puts all those lights together. Like you see him live, and it's like
I
that
know.
looks like an expensive show. And he's like, yeah, I kind of like putting it.
And he basically does the whole thing. He's doing the lights. He's doing the everything.
Underrated, and he's obviously got a big fan base, but
Yes.
I think there's a lot of people out there, a lot of your fans even, maybe through your Instagram and stuff, they've come to know him, but a lot of potential IMX fans out there that don't know he exists. And once again, he's a big artist. He sells out every time he's in town, but I think that he's, he's like a Trent Reznor or one of these guys. He's like, he can do everything. Directs the videos. Just he's a genius, and I can't get over how great his music is. And almost did a Skinny Puppy tour, as I recall, when one of your opening acts fell out.
Oh man, that's almost a perfect segue.
Yeah.
Or is that a secret?
Oh.
Outside of
Well, hold on. He's saying. What are you saying?
outside of one of the IMX shows, I believe it was at the Regent, I saw Danny had given his hoodie to this homeless woman that was complaining about the cold.
Oh, Danny, you gave your hoodie to a homeless person that was complaining about the cold outside of an IMX show.
Was it outside IMX show?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What hoodie? Oh, yeah, and it was my friend Eddie Bravo's jiu-jitsu company hoodie. I think jiu-jitsu company.
Yeah, I remember because you said the only thing you wanted to do is like get a picture of it.
Yeah. I sent it to him.
Very nice gesture.
Yeah.
Travis Barker gave me a shirt one time. Well, he gave me some merchandise. He had a company. I've worked with him with Scroobius Pip, a song called Introdiction. He's a rapper from England. That's another good thing to look up. Travis Barker played drums on that. He's fucking awesome. He had this company. He gave me all these clothes, and I was driving, and there's a dude like that, a home. He's not homeless. He lives in a old folks home, but he comes out and bums money and shit at the end of my street. And he was wearing one of Travis's shirts. And so kind of like what he said, I pulled over and gave him some money and took a picture of that dude. And I love seeing people like that, they got the shirt like from Goodwill or for free or something, wearing like, a fucking 9 Inch Nails shirt or something.
Man, what a day. What are you going to do tonight?
No plans.
No plans for Halloween?
I'm still crazy behind on turning shit in for for one person right now. So I'll probably work. I might watch the old Don Knotts movie. I've been wanting to watch it for Halloween. Usually I do fun shit and go to fucking Not Scary Farm and all this shit. I haven't done anything this year, but I think I'll watch The Ghost and Mr. Chicken, which is like this.
Yeah, that's a great movie. I forgot about that one.
You're the only one I've told that knows them or New Model Army. Which I'm going to go see you guys. I'm going to see Skinny Puppy in France next year, and New Model Army plays in the afternoon. That's the show that's been needing to happen for 30 years. It's
well, yeah, I agree. Well, it took so long. Trent should have you on stage.
I might bum rush it and then stay the next night and like take out Metallica's drum set and say, "You fucks, 7 figures for me." It's gonna be 9 Inch Nails with me I'm gonna streak during 9 Inch Nails set. Skinny Ministry, Skinny Puppy, Killing Joke.
Come on, yeah. Well, that made him made his phone freeze.
And some other I might be playing that. Huh? What's that? Oh, my phone freeze.
Killing Joke, like when you said it, it made your phone freeze. It was so substantial.
Dude, it used to say on Wikipedia that like listed Killing Joke as one of the band. I worked on a remix for them. That's all I've ever done, other than just be the dude at their merch booth or like raising my at the front row trying to touch them. I've never played a Killing Joke, but somehow on Wikipedia it used to say I was in Killing Joke or I had been in Killing Joke, and I was that ruled. I never tried to get it changed, but somebody figured it out and took it off. Unfortunately, never been in Killing Joke.
But you've probably met them and hung out with them, and you've done a remix. So I guess it partially means that you're associated.
Dude, I love Killing Joke. I can't believe how good that band is.
Yeah, and they've been around for a hell of a long time, and they deserve to be, like, I can't wait for the party. The party will be good.
Dude, my first band ever when I was in junior high was kind of like a goth cover band, and we played a couple of Killing Joke songs. And man, what year must that have been? That's once again that early MTV where they had the '80s video, where they'd have little clips, and it had Jazz Coleman like at a pulpit shaking his fist, just like the little Ministry picture that I mentioned before. Yeah, man, how long they've been? And Nick Launay, I think, worked on the very first record.
Yeah. Yeah, no, they've been around.
They played with Tool, but their sound wasn't very good, unfortunately. But I've seen them a couple of times around that time at smaller venues, and it couldn't have been better.
Yeah.
And especially good for your fans out there. Look at it's Killing Joke's self-titled album, which I think came out around 2003. Dave Grohl plays drums on it.
Are you kidding?
Holy fuck. Oh my! You got to listen to it. It's because they programmed the drums first when they writing it, recorded the whole record, came out here and recorded him play. And I've gotten to record him before too. Another amazing, wow kind of moment. But yeah, man, it's the record that I think the first song is called Asteroid. So everybody look that record up if you haven't heard it. It's holy fuck! You can't believe it. Because it was programmed drums, so the really odd beats, and he plays them perfectly. And holy fuck, you got to hear it. And the singer, one of the best singers ever.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And Peter Murphy, I like him.
Hey, well, it's almost 4:20 here, and I think we got to roll into the Halloween treat land. And
Okay, well,
I would like to especially thank you for dropping by today and sharing your stories with us, Danny.
Thank you for having me. It's an honor. Like all your guests say, I'm a huge Skinny Puppy fan. Changed my life. Saw y'all in Two Dark Park. Did not have the money to buy one of the 30 shirts you sold, but wish I did. And sorry to your subscribers that I'm so all over the place and falling off. And
sweet.
I can fix that in the future, but I haven't gotten. I'm 50 and I haven't gotten it together. Yeah. Oh wait. Last thing. Let me ask you this: Is it a myth that Jeffrey Dahmer was at the soundboard for your Milwaukee show?
Oh, apparently it was in his deposition that he attended the show Halloween night. I believe it was the Two Dark Park tour, probably 1991. So it was in his deposition, and then the deposition got sent to us, and it was scary as fuck. I remember that show. I remember with Babes in Toyland and a big venue.
What?
Yeah, and I just remember, for some reason I remember it, and I remember being backstage thinking, wow, to think, oh, of course we didn't know at the time, but to think that there was a mass murderer there, that was kind of creepy.
I mean, dude, beyond more Charles Manson than Charles Manson.
Yeah.
And yeah, I heard that story because he used to be into like Clock DVA. Do you remember them?
Yeah, sure.
Bands like that, because I think he was going to gay clubs, and back then, like a lot of the gay clubs was where you would hear industrial music, and so he was into industrial music, I guess.
Yeah.
Interesting dude.
And
there's some Skinny Puppy lore for you.
What's funny is that show too, the Two Dark Park tour, is the one where there was a lot of visuals which were very graphic, and I hope we didn't inspire him.
Yeah, he might have had a boner out there watching some of that shit go down.
That's the bad part of it all.
He had a murder boner for you guys.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks again, man.
You have yourself a good night, you and Hannah and everybody out there, and say hi to John and everybody. And we better hang pretty soon, man.
100%, dude. We will.
And let's do some work. Let's
make some music, man.
Let's do it.
All right. I love you, man. Give everybody a hug for me. I'll talk to you soon.
See you soon. Over and out.
Thanks for having me.